Okay, so we discussed the July jobs numbers being really, really good. 500,000 plus jobs added, double the expectation even from the White House. And we talked about how the Democrats should be branding better around that. Well, first, let's look at on Fox Business. They're supposed to be the ones good at this type of stuff. They are two former Trump economists or economic advisors are chatting with one another, and they just predict the worst thing. At least the guy on the right predicts that they're expecting, this is right before the numbers came out, they're expecting 200,000 jobs. I think it's only going to be 100,000 because we are in a recession. And shortly after he said that, the jobs numbers come out and are 5 times what he predicted, 500 plus thousand, whenever he predicted 100,000. So it's sweet. And then we're going to get to Fox News announcing these jobs numbers, and they can't even spin it in any way that's negative. They just go through and explain how remarkable it is. All right, let's take a look first at the bad prediction on Fox Business.
Kevin, last minute, the consensus on Wall Street is 250,000 non-farm payroll jobs tomorrow. You have a quick thought?
Yeah, initial claims are, jumped way up again. They're now a recession signal. Initial claims for unemployment insurance, and so I think we're looking at a number closer to 100. I think that it's going to surprise way on the downside.
And you still believe we're in a recession?
Oh, I know we're in a recession. Yeah, I believe we're in a recession. We are 100% in a recession.
So it's a terrific idea to raise taxes in a recession, right? I mean, terrific idea. A lot of common sense there.
Sean Hannity's coming.
Kevin, last minute.
All right, so they're laughing and they're giggling. It's going to be way worse. It's only going to be 100,000 jobs because we're in a recession. And then the news comes out and it's 500. 500,000 jobs added. So again, who can all this credit go to? Is it just economic factors unrelated to the Democrats? Is it based on Democrats' investments? Who knows? I can tell you it's not one or the other completely. Probably more on the side of broader economic factors, but definitely not being messed up by the Democrats. We'll say that, as Republicans would want you to believe, and they definitely would blame a recession on the Democrats, but they won't give credit whenever the economy looks good. It's also just sweet to watch whenever someone makes as horrible a prediction as that. Okay, so then again on Fox Business, this is them announcing the news. And there's no way to spin it. They just have to go through and tell you all the great things about the July jobs report.
Yeah, the employment rose by 528,000 in July, a big beat. The unemployment rate went down to 3.5%. 3.5 going to 3.5%. That is a decrease in the unemployment rate. When you look inside some of these numbers, you see the employment in professional and business services that increased 89,000 in July. Employment in healthcare rose by 70,000 in July. In the government rose by 57,000. Employment in construction increased by 32,000. It's interesting that construction employment of 82,000 now. That's 82,000 higher than February of 2020 levels. So construction has come back and then some. Manufacturing increased by 30,000 jobs in July. Social assistance added 27,000 jobs. Retail trade was up by 22,000 in July. That was a big one. Retail trade is now 208,000 jobs above its pre-pandemic levels. Transportation and warehousing added 21,000 jobs. The average hourly wages, those went up 5.2% year over year. That is an increase from last month. You look at information employment, continue the upward trend. Financial activities continue that upward trend. And if you look within.
Okay, now we'll skip forward to Maria Bartiromo's response.
In July, added back, the unemployment rate dips down to 3.5%. I'll let you guys chew on that right now.
Wow, that's pretty incredible. Thank you.
That's it. That's pretty incredible. Again, there's no way to Fox Newsify that type of news. So even Maria Bartiromo, who normally would do everything to make the Democrats and Biden look bad, is like, all right, well, that's incredible. So again, it's like, that is the news that you got to grab onto as the Democrats and take credit for. Because if you're going to get blamed for all the bad stuff, you got to take credit for the good stuff. That's not me making a statement on how much of it is they're doing, as I continue to say, because I can already hear the people in the comments screaming at me for giving too much credit to the Democrats. But I do think there's a fair amount of positivity you should send their way, because a recession would be blamed on them. Any inflation numbers blamed on them. And so whenever things like this come out, it does need to be taken by them as they're doing. And it's also hilarious to watch on the same network, these two people who are supposed to be economists, they were the economic advisors to Trump, going, oh, no, I know that they're saying it's going to be 250,000 and I only think it's going to be 100,000. And then a little bit later on that network comes out that it's 500 plus thousand. And again, the reason they would cite that it's going to be lower than expected, as you saw in the bottom third in the first clip I showed you, it said something about Democrats' crazy spending causing a recession. Okay, so if that's your conclusion, if you're saying the reason for a upcoming or recession that we're currently in is Democrats' crazy spending, then when we get good numbers, what's the response? Are we not in that recession? Are the Democrats, or is the crazy spending that you say they're doing actually good? What's your conclusion then? But no, they ignore anything that contradicts with their, preconceived notions. And then whenever news that comes out agrees with it, they'll pump that up like crazy. And you've seen this so clearly with gas prices. Whenever they went way up, they said it's absolutely Biden. We would have had Trump level low gas prices if Trump was still in power, or I should say Trump era low gas prices if Trump was still in power now, and blah, 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 blah. And then the gas prices start going down and they're like, well, no, there's lots of factors involved. And blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, well, yes, I agree there's lots of factors involved. And that's why I don't think the way up or the way down can be completely put on Biden's back or the Democrats' back. So really fascinating. Always fun to see them trying to respond to this. And we will continue watching these numbers closely. And I do think we have a chance of going forward into a pretty good economic time. There's big predictions about recessions. I personally think if managed correctly by the 2024 election, things could be looking really good economically for the Democrats. So we'll see if that's true. I'm not an economist, but it seems like we could actually be headed in a pretty good economic direction. Now, the only issue is the effects of inflation now are still going to have to be dealt with. People's wages are still going to be a lot less now because of inflation, and we need to work to up those and improve people's lives, because if inflation kind of levels out and we stop seeing the crazy numbers we were before, it doesn't mean that people still didn't lose the amount of buying power they had before. And we do have to address that, and that is important. But I think we could get out of kind of the tumultuous time we've been in economically, that again, I do blame mostly on the massive issues that were caused by the economic crash that happened due to COVID and all the lockdowns and everything like that.